The galaxy called it the Pit of Judgment. It was not a place for diplomacy, nor mercy. It was where civilizations proved their worth, or were erased. Carved into the hollowed core of a dead planet, the arena stretched wider than cities, its jagged walls glowing faintly with bioluminescent veins. Billions watched from orbiting platforms and deep space feeds, their voices a low thunder across the void. Today, they had come to witness extinction. At the center of the arena stood a single human. No armor, no weapon, no visible fear. He looked ordinary. That alone unsettled the crowd. Above him, the towering figures of the Virile Dominion observed from a suspended command dais. Their elongated bodies were wrapped in living armor that pulsed with faint, organic light. To them, this moment was not just spectacle, it was proof. Proof that humans were nothing more than a fragile anomaly. This demonstration, the lead commander announced, his voice amplified across every channel, marks the end of Earth's defiance. A ripple of approval echoed from alien delegates. For centuries, he continued, we have perfected life itself, reshaping it, sharpening it, turning it into the ultimate weapon. He extended a clawed hand toward the arena floor. Today, we show you perfection. The human didn't react. He simply stood there, eyes calm, breathing steady, as if he were somewhere else entirely. That irritated them. The commander gestured sharply. Release the first. A deep, metallic groan echoed as the arena floor split open. Darkness bled upward from the pit below. Something moved within it. Heavy, slow, inevitable. The sound reached the audience first, a dragging scrape, like bone grinding against stone. Then came the shape, rising into the dim violet light. Gasps rippled across the arena. The creature was enormous. Its body was a fusion of hardened plates and sinew, layered like jagged armor. Multiple limbs ended in hooked claws that carved grooves into the ground as it moved. Its head, if it could be called that, was crowned with hollow eye sockets that glowed faintly from within. The Draxel, the commander declared, engineered to eradicate resistant species. It has consumed entire colonies. The monster inhaled, a deep, rattling breath that seemed to pull the air from the arena itself. Then it saw the human. Everything went still. The human slowly lifted his gaze. For the first time, their eyes met. Something shifted. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The Draxel stopped. Its claws remained embedded in the ground, its massive body frozen mid-step. The audience leaned forward, waiting, expecting the charge, the kill. But it didn't come. The creature tilted its head. Confusion flickered across the command dais. Advance, the commander ordered. The Draxel didn't move. A murmur spread through the spectators. Advance, the commander repeated, his tone sharper. Still nothing. The creature's breathing slowed. The violent rhythm of its chest softened, as if something inside it had paused. The human took a step forward. A collective gasp surged through the arena. No one approached a Draxel. No one survived doing so. Yet the human moved as if he had all the time in the world. The monster reacted instantly, but not with aggression. It flinched. The massive creature, designed to annihilate worlds, flinched like something startled. The commander's eyes narrowed. Override its instincts. Force aggression. Energy pulses surged through the control implants embedded along the creature's spine. The Draxel convulsed violently, its body jerking as the Dominions tried to seize control. A guttural roar tore from its throat. Its claws lifted. Its body leaned forward. For a moment, it looked like the nightmare would finally begin. The human didn't run, didn't brace, didn't even blink. He simply raised his hand. Slowly, carefully. The gesture was small, fragile, completely out of place in a world built on violence. The Draxel froze again. Its glowing eyes locked onto the human's outstretched hand. The control signals intensified. Kill him, the commander roared. The creature screamed. But the sound wasn't rage. It was pain. Its body trembled, caught between command and something deeper. Something older than the Dominion's engineering. Older than fear. The human took another step. Close now. Too close. Every instinct in the arena screamed that this was the moment, the instant before death. But the human's voice broke the silence. Soft. Steady. It's okay. No one understood the words, but somehow, the creature did. The trembling slowed. Its claws lowered. The violent tension in its body unraveled, piece by piece, like a storm losing its fury. Then slowly, almost cautiously, the Draxel leaned forward. Its massive head descended toward the human. The commander stared in disbelief. This is impossible. The human didn't move, didn't pull away. His hand remained extended, waiting. The creature hesitated, just for a heartbeat, then pressed its head gently against his palm. The arena fell silent, not shocked, not confused, silent in a way that felt absolute. The Draxel exhaled, a deep, shuddering breath that no longer carried menace, only something raw and unguarded. The human closed his eyes briefly, and for the first time since the trial began, he smiled. The commander's voice cracked with fury. No, no, this is a malfunction. Release the next creature. Alarms flared. Deeper gates began to open. Something far worse stirred below. But in the center of the arena, none of that mattered anymore, because the deadliest monster the galaxy had ever created had just chosen not to fight, and it wasn't afraid of the human. It was afraid of losing him. The arena did not recover. It couldn't. What had just happened defied everything the galaxy believed about power, fear, and control. The virile Dominion had spent centuries perfecting their monsters, stripping them of hesitation, erasing instinct, rewriting them into living weapons. And yet, one human had undone it with a single gesture. The commander's voice cut through the stunned silence, sharp and unstable. Prepare the second release. Below the arena, something answered. A deep, resonant thud echoed upward, slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat the size of a warship. The ground trembled. Even the Draxel reacted this time. Its massive body stiffened beside the human, its head lifting, glowing eyes turning toward the opening gate. A low sound rumbled in its chest, not aggression. Warning. The human noticed. His hand remained resting lightly against the creature's armored head, but his gaze shifted toward the darkness below. You know this one, he murmured softly. The Draxel's claws tightened against the stone. Another thud. Closer now. The arena lights flickered as the second gate began to rise, slower than before, as if whatever lay beneath resisted even the act of being revealed. The commander straightened, forcing control back into his voice. You have witnessed an anomaly, he declared to the watching galaxy. A flaw in lesser constructs. His eyes burned toward the human. Now you will witness perfection. The gate opened. Darkness didn't spill out. It consumed. The light around the opening bent inward, swallowed by something that did not reflect it back. For a moment, the crowd saw nothing, only absence. Then it moved. A shape detached itself from the void. Tall. Unnaturally so. Its limbs were long and thin, bending at angles that made no biological sense. Its surface wasn't flesh or armor, but something like liquid shadow, constantly shifting, reforming. And its eyes. There were too many. Hundreds of faint, glowing points scattered across its upper form, blinking in no pattern, focusing in every direction at once. A whisper spread through the crowd. The Void Stalker. Even among the Dominion's arsenal, this creature was different. It wasn't bred for war. It was bred for fear. Entire species had gone extinct without ever seeing what killed them. Only glimpses, only shadows, only the feeling of being watched before the end. The commander raised his hand. This one does not hesitate. The creature turned its many eyes toward the human. And unlike the Draxel, it didn't stop. It moved instantly. No warning, no sound. One moment it stood at the edge of the gate. The next, it was halfway across the arena. The human didn't move. The Draxel did. With a thunderous roar, the massive beast stepped forward, placing itself between the human and the oncoming horror. Its claws tore into the stone as it lowered its body, shielding him. The Void Stalker paused, just for a fraction of a second. Its countless eyes shifted, studying the Draxel. Then it tilted its head, mirroring the same strange gesture the first monster had made. The commander slammed his fist against the control console. Ignore it. Target the human. The signal surged again, but something was wrong. The Void Stalker's body flickered, not in obedience, in resistance. It took another step forward, but slower this time. Deliberate. Its eyes narrowed, focusing not on the human, but on the Draxel. The two monsters stood facing each other. One massive, armored, built for destruction. The other something far worse. Something that shouldn't have been alive at all. The arena held its breath. The Void Stalker moved closer. The Draxel growled, a deep, protective sound that echoed like distant thunder. And then, the Void Stalker stopped. Its many eyes shifted again. Past the Draxel. To the human. The human met its gaze. No fear. No challenge. Just presence. Silence stretched. Then the human spoke again. You don't want to do this either. No translation carried his words. No system decoded them. But once again, understanding passed between species that should never have been able to communicate. The Void Stalker trembled. It was subtle, barely visible in its ever-shifting form, but it was there. A fracture. The commander's voice rose in panic. Force compliance. Maximum override. Energy surged through the arena systems, flooding into the creature's control matrix. The Void Stalker convulsed. Its form destabilized, flickering violently between shapes, between shadows. A sound filled the arena. Not a roar, not a scream. Something broken, like silence being torn apart. The human stepped forward. Stop. The Draxel seemed to warn, shifting to block him again. But the human gently rested his hand against the creature's side. It's not him I'm worried about. He moved past it. Gasps erupted across the arena. The Void Stalker loomed over him now, towering, unstable, dangerous beyond comprehension. Its eyes burned, flickering, conflicted. The human raised his hand again. The same gesture. Simple. Impossible. The creature recoiled, then stilled. The control signals spiked harder. The Dominion was no longer trying to command. They were trying to force. The Void Stalker's form twisted violently. And then, with a sudden, sharp motion, it tore something from its own body. A small, glowing shard, pulsing with energy, ripped free and fell to the ground. The control core. The arena went silent. The creature's form stabilized. Its many eyes dimmed. And slowly, it lowered itself. Not collapsing. Not shutting down. Choosing to stop. Choosing to refuse. The commander staggered back. No, this is impossible. Two monsters now stood in the arena, both capable of annihilating worlds, both freed from control, and both standing with the human. The Void Stalker shifted closer, its presence no longer suffocating, but watchful, protective. The Draxel rumbled softly beside them. Above, panic spread through the Dominion ranks. They're losing control. Shut it down. Activate fail-safes. But deep beneath the arena, more gates were already opening, and something far older, far more dangerous, was beginning to wake. At the center of it all, the human looked up at the trembling commanders, and for the first time, they felt fear, because this was no longer a demonstration. It was the beginning of something they had never planned for. Not rebellion, not war, something worse, understanding. Panic spread faster than any plague the galaxy had ever known. It started in whispers, then alarms, then commands shouted over one another as the virile Dominion realized the unthinkable. They had lost control. Not of one monster, not of two, but of something far deeper. The arena trembled as additional containment gates began to unlock below, their ancient mechanisms groaning under sudden activation. Fail-safes triggered automatically. Protocols designed for catastrophic containment breaches. But those protocols had never accounted for this. Monsters refusing. Above, the Dominion commander scrambled. Seal the lower levels. It's not responding. Control pathways are being overridden. That's impossible. Nothing overrides Dominion coding. The lead commander's gaze locked onto the human below, his expression no longer confident, but shaken. No, he whispered. This is a malfunction. His voice hardened. It's infection. Down in the arena, the human stood between two nightmares. The Draxel loomed at his side, its massive frame coiled with restrained power. The Void Stalker hovered just behind him, its shifting form calmer now, its countless eyes dimmed, but focused. Watching, listening. The human exhaled slowly. You feel it too, don't you? Neither creature moved, but something passed between them. Not language. Not command. Something older. Something the Dominion had tried to erase. Choice. A deep rumble echoed beneath the arena. Then another. And another. The ground cracked. A massive section of the arena floor split open violently, stone collapsing inward as something enormous forced its way upward. The crowd screamed. From the abyss below, a third creature rose. It was unlike the others. Not sleek. Not fast. Not subtle. It was colossal. A living mountain of scarred flesh and embedded armor plating. Its body riddled with ancient wounds that had never healed, only hardened. Massive chains hung from its limbs, fused into its body, dragging behind it as it climbed free. The Colossus, someone whispered from the viewing platforms. Even the Dominion feared this one. It had never been fully controlled, only contained. Until now. The creature's head lifted slowly, revealing a face that barely resembled anything alive, its eyes sunken, dim, buried beneath layers of pain and memory. It saw the human, and stopped. The Draxel tensed. The Void Stalker shifted, but neither attacked, because something was happening, something no one had prepared for. The Colossus took a step forward. The ground cracked beneath its weight. Another step. Chains dragged. Its breath came in slow, uneven bursts, like something that had forgotten how to live, but hadn't been allowed to die. The Dominion commander shouted, desperate now. Force aggression. Maximum override on all units. Energy surged. Every control system in the arena lit up at once. The Draxel roared in pain. The Void Stalker flickered violently. The Colossus didn't react. The signals hit it, and broke, like waves against a cliff. The creature kept moving, toward the human. The human didn't retreat, didn't flinch. He stepped forward, again, closing the distance. Stop him, the commander screamed. No control pathway is responding. What is he doing? The human reached the Colossus, close enough now to see the scars, the chains, the deep, carved lines along its body, markings not of design, but of suffering. You remember, don't you? The human said quietly. The Colossus froze. The entire arena seemed to hold its breath. You weren't born like this. The creature's massive head lowered slightly. A faint tremor ran through its body. They made you this way. The Dominion system surged harder, desperate, frantic. The Draxel collapsed to one knee under the pressure. The Void Stalker twisted, its form destabilizing again. But the Colossus endured. The human lifted his hand. Not in command, not in control, in understanding. They took your choice. Silence. Then, the Colossus moved. Slowly, carefully. It lowered itself. Not fully. Not yet. But enough. Enough that the human could reach it. The human stepped forward one last time, and placed his hand against its scarred surface. The reaction was immediate. A deep, resonant sound echoed from within the creature. Something ancient. Something buried. Not pain. Not rage. Something breaking free. The chains along its limbs snapped. One by one. Metal screamed as it tore apart, fragments crashing to the arena floor. The Dominion commander staggered back. No. No. The Colossus straightened. Fully now. Unbound. Its eyes, once dim and hollow, began to glow. Not with violence, but with awareness. Across the arena, the Draxel rose again, steadier now. The Void Stalker stabilized, its form no longer flickering. 3 monsters, all free, all standing with a human. The commander's voice cracked. What are you? The human looked up. For the first time, there was something different in his expression. Not defiance, not anger. Truth. We're not your weapons, he said. A pause. Then quietly. And neither are they. The arena fell silent. Because in that moment, the galaxy understood something it had never considered before. Humans didn't dominate monsters. They didn't control them. They didn't conquer them. They did something far more dangerous. They saw them. And once a creature that had only ever known pain was finally seen, it stopped being a monster and started becoming something else. Above, the Dominion's control systems began to fail completely. Below, more gates opened. More creatures stirred. And for the first time in their empire's history, the virile Dominion realized the truth. They hadn't brought a human into the arena to prove weakness. They had brought the one thing their monsters had never known: freedom. And now, it was spreading. It began with a sound. Not a roar, not a scream. A breaking. Deep beneath the arena, something ancient and buried shattered. Not stone, not metal. Control. Across the pit of judgment, systems failed one by one. Lights flickered. Energy conduits overloaded. The Dominion's command signals, once absolute, unquestioned, fractured like glass under pressure. And then, the monsters answered. The Colossus moved first. No longer bound by chains or command. It took a single step forward, deliberate, unstoppable. The ground trembled beneath it, cracks spidering outward as its weight shifted. The Draxel followed, rising to its full height, its massive frame no longer trembling under forced obedience, but steady. Awake, the Void Stalker drifted beside them, its shadowed form no longer flickering in pain, but flowing, controlled, watching everything at once. And at the center of them all, the human, small, unarmed, yet somehow leading. Above, chaos consumed the Dominion command deck. Shut down the arena. We've lost neural override. They're breaking containment across all levels. The lead commander slammed his claws into the console, eyes wide with something he had never felt before. Fear. No, he hissed. Deploy the failsafe. Now. A new alarm cut through the noise. Lower. Deeper. Final. From the walls of the arena, hidden panels slid open. Massive emitters emerged, their cores glowing with unstable energy. The Oblivion Protocol. A system designed for one purpose. If control was lost, everything died. Monsters. Spectators. The arena itself. Erased. Down below, the human looked up. He saw the shift instantly. The rising energy. The hum in the air. They're going to kill everything, he said quietly. The Draxel growled, low and furious. The Void Stalker's form darkened, its countless eyes turning upward toward the emitters. The Colossus simply stood, watching, waiting. Then, it moved. With a thunderous step, the Colossus surged forward, its massive arms swinging upward. One of the energy emitters fired. A beam of pure annihilation streaked downward. The Colossus didn't dodge. It took the hit. The impact exploded across its body in a blinding flash, energy tearing into its armored flesh. The arena gasped. But when the light faded, it was still standing, burned, cracked, but standing. And then it roared, not in pain, in defiance. The Draxel leapt, a creature built for destruction finally unleashed, not against the human, not against prey, but against its creators. It slammed into the arena wall, claws tearing into the emitter structures. Metal screamed as it ripped through them, dragging one of the massive cannons down in a shower of sparks and debris. The Void Stalker vanished. One moment it was beside the human. The next, it was everywhere. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the arena, slipping between structures, wrapping around emitters, seeping into the control systems themselves. Lights flickered, then died. One by one, the Dominion commanders watched in horror. They're targeting the fail-safes. Shut them down remotely. We can't. Systems are offline. The lead commander staggered back, his voice trembling. This isn't rebellion. He looked down at the human. This is collapse. Below, the human didn't move. He didn't command, didn't shout, didn't direct the chaos unfolding around him, because he didn't need to. This wasn't his army. It never was. Another emitter fired, this time aimed directly at him. A streak of light tore through the air and stopped. The Void Stalker reappeared in front of him, its shadowed form intercepting the blast. The energy twisted around it, bending, distorting, then dissipating into nothing. The creature didn't turn, didn't look back, but its presence said enough. You are not alone. The Draxel returned, its claws dripping with molten metal, its body marked with fresh burns, but its stance unbroken. It positioned itself beside the human once more, a living wall of bone and fury. The Colossus stepped forward again, placing itself in front of them both, shielding, protecting, choosing. Across the arena, more gates opened, not controlled, not commanded, forced open from within. Smaller creatures emerged first, twisted forms, broken designs, experiments abandoned and forgotten. They hesitated. They looked around, at the chaos, at the destruction, at the human. And then, they moved. Not toward him, but toward the fight. They're joining. One of the Dominion officers whispered in disbelief. They're not attacking him. They're attacking us. The arena had become something else now. Not a test. Not a demonstration. A reckoning. The lead commander's voice rose, desperate, cracking under the weight of what he was witnessing. Do you even understand what you've done? His eyes burned into the human below. You've doomed this entire system. The human finally looked up, calm, steady, unshaken. No, he said. A pause. Then, you did that when you took their choice. The final emitter powered up, stronger than the rest. A core blast. Enough to wipe the entire arena in a single strike. The commander slammed his hand down. Fire. The beam erupted. Blinding. Absolute. Unstoppable. It fell toward the arena. Toward the human. Toward everything. And for the first time since the battle began, all three monsters moved together. The Colossus stepped forward, bracing. The Draxel anchored beside it, claws digging deep. The Void Stalker expanded, its shadow engulfing them all. The beam hit. The arena vanished in light. Silence followed. For one long, impossible moment, there was nothing. Then, the light faded, and they were still there, scarred, burning, but standing, together. Above, the Dominion fell silent, because they understood now. This wasn't a loss of control. This wasn't a failure of systems. This was something far worse. Their monsters had not broken. They had chosen. And now, they would never obey again. Silence fell over the pit of judgment. Not the kind born from fear. Not the kind that follows destruction. This silence was something deeper, heavier. It was the sound of a galaxy realizing it had been wrong. The smoke cleared slowly. Ash drifted through the air like falling stars, settling across shattered stone and broken metal. The arena, once a monument to dominance, now lay in ruins. At its center, they still stood. The Colossus, its massive body scorched and cracked, yet unbroken. The Draxel, breathing heavily, its claws still embedded in the ground, refusing to fall. The Void Stalker, its shadow flickering faintly, holding its form together through sheer will. And between them, the human, unharmed, unshaken, alive. Above, the Virile Dominion command deck was frozen in disbelief. No alarms, no orders, no control, only silence. The lead commander stared down at the arena, his voice barely more than a whisper. They survived. One of the officers trembled. That blast should have erased everything. It would have. Another said quietly. Their eyes shifted. Toward the human. Down below. The human exhaled slowly. He looked at the creatures around him. Not as weapons, not as monsters, but as something else. Something that had never been allowed to exist. You're free now, he said softly. The Draxel lowered its head slightly, its massive form finally relaxing. The Void Stalker's many eyes dimmed, its shifting body settling into something calmer, more stable. The Colossus moved. It turned away from the command deck, away from the Dominion, and took a step. Not toward destruction, not toward revenge. Away. The arena watched. The galaxy watched. As the first monster ever freed from Dominion control, chose not to fight. The Draxel followed. Its heavy steps echoed through the broken arena, each one deliberate, each one certain. It paused briefly beside the human, then lowered its head once more. Not in submission, in acknowledgement. Then it turned and walked. The Void Stalker lingered the longest. Its countless eyes flickered across the arena, across the Dominion above, across the countless beings watching from distant systems. Then slowly, it stepped back, its form dissolving into shadow, slipping away into the fractures of the world. Gone, but not lost. The human stood alone. High above, panic returned. They're leaving. Stop them. Re-engage containment. We have no containment left. The lead commander's voice cut through the chaos. No. The others turned to him in shock. We cannot stop them. His gaze remained fixed on the human, and we cannot risk provoking him. The word spread quickly, across command channels, across fleets, across the galaxy. A new directive. unspoken but understood. Do not provoke humans. The human looked up. For a moment, his eyes met the commander's. There was no hatred there, no triumph, only finality. Then he turned and began to walk. The gates of the arena, once sealed beyond breach, now stood open, not destroyed, unlocked, as if someone had decided they were no longer needed. He stepped through them and disappeared into the light beyond. Days passed, then weeks, then months. The galaxy changed. Worlds once ruled by fear began to question. Dominions built on control began to fracture. Reports spread, quiet at first, then impossible to ignore. Monsters disappearing, not escaping, not rampaging, leaving. Entire facilities found empty. Chains broken. Control systems destroyed from within. No signs of violence. No signs of struggle. Only absence. And always, one detail remained the same. In every report, in every system, in every whispered rumor, a human had been there. Some said they saw him walking beside creatures once feared as gods of destruction. Others claimed he spoke to them, calmed them, freed them. There were even stories, dismissed at first, of monsters protecting human colonies, standing at their borders, guarding them, not as weapons, but as allies. The virile dominion never recovered, not from the loss of control, but from the loss of belief, because their greatest truth, the foundation of their empire, had been shattered. Monsters were not tools. They were not mindless. They were not born to obey. They had simply never been given a choice. And humans? Humans did not conquer the galaxy. They did not declare war. They did not seek dominance. They did something far more dangerous. They reminded the universe that even the most broken, most feared, most dangerous beings could choose. And once that choice was given, nothing could ever control them again. At the edge of known space, on a quiet, unremarkable world, a massive shadow passed over a small settlement. Children looked up in awe. A creature of impossible size landed beyond the hills, not with destruction, but with silence. A figure stepped forward to meet it, small, human, and the creature lowered its head, not in fear, in trust. The galaxy would never be the same again.